Have arrived here in Jamestown, Rhode Island, and in just a couple hours we're going to have ourselves a new foundation. And our project house sits on an island. Well, our homeowner Don Powers has agreed to give us a little tour. What happened to all this plumbing here?
I've never seen anything like this before.
There's already rot going on in that trunk.
So what have you found up here?
Well, a bit of a surprise.
It's really the classic plumber's lament.
Nice.
See this main roof form? We're just going to pull that forward till it's even where this existing deck is.
Definitely says mid-century modern.
The money's in the detail.
That is beautiful. Hi there, I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to this old house here in Jamestown, Rhode Island, where we are working on this little bungalow that was built in the 1920s. Now, our homeowners, Don and Dana, they are the architect and designer for this project, and they have got some big plans. The biggest of which is to make the house net zero, which means that they hope it can produce as much energy as the house consumes. And that is a tall task. But before we can even get to any of that, we have got some issues to deal with here on the exterior. And our builder is Jeff Sweener. Good morning, Jeff.
Kevin, how are you?
I'm well, good to see you.
Good to see you.
So demo today?
Demo today, inside and outside.
All right, and what are we doing outside?
Well, outside we got a little bit of an issue. We've got a fiber cement siding shingle.
Okay.
Very popular in the 30s, 40s, 50s. And the problem here is that the fiber in this is asbestos.
Okay.
So we've got to be real cautious. We got to take precautions to get this removed safely and disposed of properly.
So asbestos shingles, we've dealt with them before, and if I recall correctly, when they're in this state, no problem at all. It's when we start to break them up and those fibers become airborne that we have the health risk.
That's correct.
So it's the demo that we're going to be concerned with. Obviously not original to the house if you're saying 30s
No,
and 40s.
this is an overlay.
An overlay, all right.
The original was a white cedar shingle, and this was overlaid at some point.
All right, so the guys are here. What is the protocol for demolition?
They've got to take precautions with their personal protective equipment.
Sure.
They're going to be wearing eye protection and respirators.
Yep.
And we've put poly down on the ground so that we can contain all of this.
And then you've actually
We've got to cordon off the area here so that everybody stays safe, everybody knows what's going on.
Okay.
So we're wetting the shingles down with a soap water mixture. The soap adds to help penetrate and keep the asbestos particulate down when we remove the shingles.
Well, you can see the cedar shingles underneath you were speaking of, original to the house probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's the protocol for disposal?
Yeah, well, each bag is sealed and then sealed inside that barrel. We put them aside and it's all shipped to a transfer station approved for asbestos removal.
Nice. And in terms of time, how long to strip the whole house, do you think?
I think we should have it done by today.
Awesome. All right, we're underway, making some good progress.
Good progress. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Jeff, how'd you make out?
Good. Got the story stick for us.
All right. I found the subfloor right here so we can measure for the height of our new foundation.
Right. So I've got a story stick now that we're going to base on the bottom of that subfloor.
Yeah, right here.
And the addition is 2 steps down from the original floor.
So from the old part of the house, when you enter the addition, you're going to step down into a room 2 steps.
Correct.
Okay?
Then we've got an 11 7/8 I-joist. That's our floor system.
Yep.
2 plates, and then there's the top of our new foundation.
Right. Now, the difference here is we're actually going to be using a precast foundation, which means the height of the wall is established at the factory. We can adjust that height with the pour. So we now have to know exact height of the wall, as always, but now we can dig down to our footing, allow a little more for our stone base, and adjust that so the top of the wall will end up exactly right.
Let's hope so.
All right, let's get digging.
All right.
I'm surprised to see a footing.
Wow, no kidding. Look at that.
Yeah, that's unusual.
About 8 inches or so.
Yeah, this is compacted pretty good.
Yeah. Looks
So-
like we'll have no problem making that cut right there.
Yeah, we don't want this wall to fall in. But if you look at the foundation, see those lines right there? Those are old boards, and they probably built the forms right on the job site. Poured the concrete and stripped
Took
them.
them off and used them somewhere
Yeah,
else.
that's how the old Yankees
Probably
work.
on the roof.
Saving a buck. All right, so let's get an idea on how much more we have to go down here. We got
We're
9 feet.
Yep.
So we got
couple
another,
feet to go.
another 3 feet to the bottom of the underside of the footing. All right. All right, let's see how we're doing.
There's our bottom.
Okay, now these guys are continue to dig out for the whole foundation. Now it's interesting, Kevin went to the factory, which is about 300 miles away, to see these panels being made.
Oh, wow. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's cool.
This factory is in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, which is just outside of Lancaster and 3 states away from our job site. And this is where our concrete foundation walls are going to be formed up, poured, insulated, and fitted with studs. Doug, good to see you.
Good to meet you.
So you are Director of Operations, correct?
Correct, yes.
So when someone asks you why use a precast concrete wall, what are you telling them?
I tell them we have the ability to take your blueprints and do a custom design exactly as you like. We have the ability to pour it inside a quality controlled environment where we control the weather. We don't have the circumstances that affect the quality on site. We don't have all the trucks that are sitting and waiting. So we can build everything perfect to spec every time.
And how long to install?
Usually less than 1 day.
Wow, install in a single day.
That's correct.
So you're giving us speed and quality.
That's right.
All right, well, how about giving us a tour?
Let's go. Here in our production facility, we're going to build about 5 or 6 foundations a day. We have 60 total employees. Each foundation takes about 3 hours to build. So we'll run shifts for about 16 hours and be building all day long.
Yeah.
One of the insulation parts that we use is EPS. It's an expanded polystyrene. It comes in these large billets.
This is the kind of styrofoam cup material, right?
Exactly, same thing. What we're doing here is cutting stud insulation. The entire profile is programmed on the CNC machine, and we apply an electric charge to the wires, and it goes through and melts everything and cuts it to the exact specification.
Like a hot knife through butter, right?
That's exactly right. Every material that we use that is EPS will be cut on this machine, using up all the waste for the most part. The tiny little bit that we do have will be ground up, sent back to the manufacturer, and they'll use it again.
Cool.
Here's a piece of stud insulation that was just cut on the CNC.
So the concrete goes into the cavity here, and then you've got the insulation here on the outbound side?
That's correct. Ryan's gonna take a piece of galvanized lath and he's gonna bend tabs up so that the insulation can sit down on top of that.
Yep.
Holds it in place, and it also carries the rebar that's gonna go in the stud. Right here is where we're gonna start with your foundation.
This is our form?
This is your form. Right now we're spraying the form down with a lightweight form oil. This will keep the concrete from sticking when we're ready to strip the walls. So we're bringing a window frame in here. This is treated 2x8 framing. We're gonna set it on the deck, square it up, and we'll nail it down in place so it doesn't move during the process. Windows made to the exact specifications of the customer. Header will be set to the depth that they want. Right now they're dropping in the studs that we saw produced earlier. They're gonna be spaced 2 foot on center. We're gonna put header and footer insulation at the top and bottom, which will provide the 2 foot spacing. We're putting number 3 rebar in the header and the footer. There will be 2 pieces in each, and then number 4 bar will be vertical in each stud. So now that the studs are in, the rebar's in, what we're gonna start doing is putting down the insulation.
Yeah.
Everything that we've done so far is kind of an opposite of what you're used to seeing from the inside of the foundation. So we're gonna put this piece of insulation in first. It's polyiso. It's gonna give us R6.5 per inch.
And it's foil faced?
Foil faced
For
for
what
fire and smoke prevention. Next, we'll have 4.5 inches of EPS. This gives it a combined R value of 21.3.
Wow, that is a nicely insulated wall.
So this is where we're gonna mix our concrete. We're gonna mix a 5,000 PSI concrete We have 100% control over the mix because we're in a climate-controlled environment.
So if you guys are 5,000 PSI, what is it typically on a job site poured on site?
Sure, typically on a job site, you're gonna see anywhere from 25 to 3,500 PSI. And the reason for that is they can't control the conditions. You may have 5 or 6 trucks out there, you're sitting, you're waiting to pour, you're adding water and things like that. Just doesn't have the control.
What does the 5,000 get us?
5,000 allows us to guarantee these walls to be watertight.
Nice.
So we're pouring the concrete right now. What we have is we have a 1 3/4 inch face shell, and then we have a full depth stud cavity. So we actually have 9.5 inches of solid concrete at each stud.
But that skin is just going to be your 1 3/4, so that's not a lot of concrete. I mean, how much does that compare to a traditional pour?
We're going to use about 1/3 of the concrete as a traditional poured wall.
Wow, that is remarkable. And so you can see the depth of the stud there. So that whole thing gets filled up with concrete. And then this right here is just your 1 3/4.
That's exactly right. And of course, the header and the footer is full depth concrete, and the load will transfer through the stud into the soil.
All right.
So this wall has been poured. It's sat overnight. We've stripped it, and it is ready to be hooked up and loaded onto a trailer.
Well, your oil work, that thing just slipped right out of there. No problem at all.
It's coming out the way it's supposed to.
All right. And that's weighing in at about what do you think?
That particular panel is probably 3,500 to 4,000 pounds.
Yep.
And we'll get it on the trailer and send the walls up to Jamestown.
Awesome. Love to see it. Thank you, Doug.
I'll see you there.
Our project house sits on an island that is surrounded by Narragansett Bay. Now, the population of Jamestown year-round is about 5,000, but that number swells considerably when the warm weather arrives and all the tourists show up for the summer. Our homeowner, Don Powers, has lived here for quite a number of years, and you've agreed to give us a tour, Don, which we appreciate.
Hey, Kevin.
How long have you been coming to Jamestown?
We were one of those summer people 18 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But eventually we fell in love with the place and decided to make a home here.
What's not to like? I mean, it is beautiful.
Absolutely. I've always loved to come up here on the island with the boys and scramble the rocks, the tidal pools, the views. It's just a magical place.
And it's got a little bit of history, too.
Oh, sure. Jamestown has been at the center of American maritime history from day one. This structure right behind you is the original foundation of the third lighthouse in the Americas, 1749, Revolutionary War.
And obviously, it's gone, but they put a new one up, moved it back some.
Here. That's right.
So is there any chance that a local like you can talk our way into that lighthouse?
I'll see what I can do.
Let's give it a try.
So this is the southern tip of the island. If you look down there, you can see the outline of Block Island. Beyond that is Long Island. And as you come around here, that's the beginning of Newport. And then we're looking north along the edge of Jamestown. You see Hull Cove, and then just beyond to the Fort Retherall, and then way in the distance is Newport Harbor.
And as the crow flies, how far to your house?
We're about 4 miles from our house, which is a pretty good run.
Not bad, Don, not bad at all.
The history of Jamestown has many chapters. Some of the earliest ones were all about farming. The whole island was devoted to farming, and you see evidence of it everywhere in the stone walls and a lot of the farms that still remain. Some of them are historic preservation, and others are still working. And as a farming community on an island, they needed some way to process what they grew. So they built this windmill in 1787, and it's still here today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can see the two millstones. Looks like one turns, the other stays still. The corn is ground and comes out here into this as the cornmeal.
Yep.
Looks like the drive shaft is coming down from above, from the sails.
The sails are the big fins on the outside.
Yes, I think so. And then
Yep.
this is the hopper where you dump the corn in.
Beautiful. That is very cool.
Yeah. So here we are right in the heart of Jamestown. This is Jamestown Harbor, and in the distance you see Newport. And up this rise right here is really the crown jewel of Jamestown, which is Shoreby Hill.
Beautiful. Look at those houses, huh?
Yeah, they're beautiful. At the turn of the century, the well-to-do chose this point for obvious reasons to build their summer places. And of these houses, my favorite is the black one with the black trim and the dark shingles. I just love the surprise, the unexpectedness of that color combination.
Right. And did you get other inspiration from it for your house?
The porch columns, you'll see when you look at them, are more than a little bit similar to what we're doing at our house.
Beautiful.
This is East Ferry. This is the center of town. The houses that we talked about over on Shoreby Hill were being built at the turn of the century, but also there were hotels all along here. And this condominium building right here was built in the 80s and to recall the hotel that once stood on that corner.
And you guys can walk to town from the house, right?
Yeah, and we often do. My son comes down with his fishing rod, goes out onto the piers to fish, stops for an ice cream cone on his way back home. It's wonderful.
It is wonderful. I mean, everything you just showed me is wonderful. There's a lot to love.
We love it.
Our panels have arrived here in Jamestown, Rhode Island. This truck came all the way from the factory in Pennsylvania, and in just a couple hours, we're gonna have ourselves a new foundation. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Tommy. How you guys doing?
Hey, Kevin.
How are you? How was the factory?
Oh, the factory was cool, man. They got a lot of space on the roof, formed them up, poured them, insulated. It goes fast.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
They're great. Well, talk about fast. I mean, we used these years ago on our oldest project, but it was a big crawl space. Then we used it on the Carlisle project, which was a big addition. And we also used it on the Ted Benson panelized house, the post and beam.
Yeah.
Well, I love them because they go in quick, they're insulated, and they're strong.
Right.
Right.
And so what did you have to do to prep the hole for us, Jeff?
Well, we had to pour a single face wall because the existing foundation is a crawl space. So we had to transfer that load down to the bottom. We had to calculate the bottom exactly because obviously these panels are coming pre-made at a certain height.
Yep.
So we stoned the bottom. We've got a sump pump going, get rid of the water as we go. And we're graded up, ready to set.
All right, well, I know Adam Campbell from the company is here, so I'm going to check in with him and see what the process is.
All right.
Hey, Adam.
Hi, Kevin.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So Jeff has gotten the hole most of the way there. What are you guys doing to finish it off?
What we do now is we'll locate the corner pins of the foundation, and they'll lay out the string line.
Yeah.
Once the string line is set, they'll come in here and they'll start screeding and compacting the stone.
So this is you guys trying to get it to just the perfect height here.
That's correct, so that when the walls are finished, everything's square level at the top.
All right, let's get to it.
All right, great. And now that the first panel is placed in, the next thing we're doing now is placing the ceiling.
So you're running a bead right down the corner there?
Yes, it's a waterproof sealant.
So this is a urethane-based sealant. I know it's also pretty strong.
Yes, it is. It does have adhesive strength, and it definitely is for waterproofing the wall.
So how many beads are you going to run in that corner?
I'll be going 3 beads. The first one is called the connector bead.
Yeah.
And that's really the main bead that prevents the water from coming through.
Right.
And then he'll place an interior and exterior bead once the other panel is placed.
I see.
Nice.
And the panels then are placed together and bolted with a 1/2-inch bolt.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
You only bolted in two places.
That's correct, at the bottom of the wall and at the top.
great. Is that
Nice.
panel ready to come in?
Yes, it is.
All
So
right.
we need to get out of the way.
Okay.
Over the past year, many of you have noticed that our friend Roger Cook has not been himself. We have received countless inquiries with compassion and concern for his health. Well, you've been curious and you deserve an answer, so let's find out. All right, Roger, they're on to you, pal. How you feeling?
I've been better. Yeah. To be honest with you, I've been better. We got some medical issues going around that I'm trying to take care of.
Yeah.
And stay healthy.
You're in good hands though, right?
Good hands. I got some of the best doctors in the world around this area, so
Good.
we're working on it.
So what's the plan going forward? You're going to step back a little bit?
Step back a little bit. I think it's time to stop the heavy lifting and leave it up to the team we're going to put in place. You know, the guys that work for me, Fred, Tom, Jonathan. We got Jen Nawada. We got Mark coming in. I mean, we got a team that can fill in right behind me. I'm going to do a lot of this from now on.
Yeah, you deserve it, though. You've earned it. Yeah, you do have a great team, as you said, and Fred and Tommy and Jen can really step up to the plate with your guidance, and Mark McCullough doing all the hardscape stuff. I mean, you've got your back covered.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We've always had each other covered as a team.
That's right.
That's right. It's a family.
Roger, I met you for the first time on the first This Old House, you know, way back 40 years ago. It's hard to believe right now. And it wasn't long after that that you were making segments that our audience would look at and learn about plants and landscaping. And over the years, you created an amazing body of work, which is still very valuable today.
Well, I think we've all done that as a team, and it really shows when you watch it.
Well, it's your passion too, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's your
I
passion.
mean, anyone else like to get as dirty as I do?
Well, we've been friends, we've been brothers in arms, we've been through a lot of stuff together as a group. What you did is you brought the backyard into the house to be a room in the house and be part of the show, an important part of it. So
Yeah, it's been great, but like I said, I'm not totally disappearing. I'm still going to watch you.
you still rock.
Whoa, good one.
Well, it's a family, brother, and you're part of it, and we're going to stick with you through the entire thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it. Well, it is a family, and when you are on the receiving end of so much kindness from so many people, well, it humbles all of us. So from our family and all of us, Roger, Richard, Norm, and Tommy, we're going to see all of you next time. Next time on This Old House, we can finally see the shape that the house is in now that the demo's complete.
This is what we found when we opened the walls.
This was still hot a week ago?
Yeah, for sure.
We demystify the proper planning of an HVAC system.
And to make this house net zero, we gotta break some rules. You can see a traditional wall here is 16 inches on center. Today, we're gonna frame a wall at 24 inches on center.
So you are breaking with more than a century's worth of convention.
That's next time on This Old House.
For more of This Old House, go to pbs.org/thisoldhouse, where you can watch full episodes anytime. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This Old House magazine, the companion to the television series, provides trusted information from our team of experts. Use your credit card to order 10 issues for $10. Call 1-800-221-5900 to subscribe.